We're continuing on in this sermon series about Jesus. We're continuing on in this sermon series about Jesus. I'll lower this a little bit. As a human. Because those who first knew Jesus as a human. And they struggled with what this meeting with Jesus in their lives had meant when they wrote the scriptures later on. Any of you ever use Roman candles at Christmas time or 4th of July? I remember this was a big deal in my family, especially for young children, because the men and the older boys would go down ways from us and they would fire the firecrackers and the big rockets that would go up in the air. But us young children would gather around and we would be given a Roman candle. And you know, the first time you were very excited about getting a Roman candle. You weren't quite sure what that would mean. You were afraid it might explode in your hand, so you were a little nervous. And but you were excited and you wanted to show everybody that you could do it. And you got your Roman candle, and I don't remember who it was that lit my Roman candle, but soon after they lit it, the first one went off. And I was so excited I was following it, and I allowed it to drop. And the second one went right straight to the men that were firing the other fireworks, and they shouted, "Point that thing somewhere else." So I immediately turned, and the people up by the house said, "Don't point it at the house, it'll land on the roof." And you know, I was going like this, and those things were going off. And I remember my cousin right next to me, she had one, and it was going off, but it only had 4. You know, they had duds. And hers quit. She was kind of disappointed. Mine had 8, and I was really proud. But one of them just went off the end of the thing. It didn't go up in the air. It just died right there at my feet. Roman candles are kind of like life, aren't they? Some of us get a full 8 shots, and some of us get 2. Some of us get 4. Some of them go off and really light up the sky, and some of them just want to fall at our feet. But one thing that we all know for sure is that we all die. We all are put on earth here, and there's no getting around it. We all die. And the issue is not whether we die, but the issue is whether we will live the life that we have been given to live. Now, the early disciples and those who followed Jesus sensed that they had come in contact with somebody that didn't just teach and just didn't heal, but had changed everything. Had changed everything about their life, about the way they looked at life, about the way they lived life, about the meaning of life. And they wanted to tell people about this, that this was reality, that this wasn't some kind of religion, this wasn't some kind of nice idea, but this is the way life is at the bottom. This is the truth about human existence, not just for Jewish people, but for everybody. That's an important prelude to reading Scripture or to trying to understand what our papas and mamas were about. Now, one of the curious things that they did was that they decided to dwell upon the crucifixion. I was with some biblical scholars this week, and I asked them, why do you think that of all the material that the early disciples and followers had, they chose to dwell on crucifixion? And they scratched their head, and finally one of them said, because of the resurrection. I said, well, that's fine. They did do a job with the resurrection. but they always came back to the crucifixion. Paul, when he preached, said, I preach Jesus and Him crucified. Why do you think that this became the central theme and symbol of the church and not the open tomb?
We all die.
Because we all die? That's one answer. That's not bad. It might be good to go back and look at their times and try to grasp what was being said by this. One thing in their time was that they were always close to death. They did not live long lives. Very few people ever lived beyond 40, 50 years, and then they were revered as something magical. Death was common. If you've ever lived in a small village in the third world, you know that when people die, that everybody sees the body. Everybody knows that there's been a death. And they generally wrap the body and take it to whatever type of grave that they're going to have, and everybody is there. And that this happens often. But not only is human death very visible, but people do not have supermarkets to go buy their food or to prepare their food. And so chickens being killed is not uncommon. Blood from animals being slaughtered for food is not uncommon. Practically everywhere you go, you see death. You see animals being born, and not all of them, make it out of their infancy. You see dead little puppies. Death is everywhere. Also, the other side of this is that in that time, and in a lot of places, the idea that you have to appease God, or you have to appease your ruler or your patron, was fundamental. That to get along in life, you had to make appeasement. You have to make sacrifices to gain favor, to show that you're with whoever your patron is.